G'day guys, Duckville here. I have a pretty cool replay here today. I have not actually watched it. This is what I'm going to refer to now on as a pure replay. I know that it's cool because I saw some of the comments on Play XP and they were actually pretty cool. So the guys on there were happy about it. You guys will hopefully be very happy about it too, because we will get to see a particular group of units that we do not get to see very much at all. Those of you who have me on Twitter will know exactly what I'm talking about, because I sort of did a pre sort of commentary tweet about what I was going to do. So just before we get into all of that, of course, we do have our two players here on Scrap Station. We have a red Terran down here at the lower right position, and his name is KimBeomJun. He's actually I haven't actually really seen him around at all, so I need to change that rally point around. Whatever. I did actually have a look and actually found that he actually played on the GSL Season 2 qualifiers, and he actually played against Hydra, interestingly enough, in the qualifiers for Season 2. And of course, given that Hydra made it into the round of 64, Hydra beat this guy, but it was a 2-1 victory, so I'm assuming that Hydra just rolled all over him, given how good Hydra's Zerg vs Terran is. His opponent today is actually MansonPrime. Interesting to see Manson actually playing as Protoss. I believe, from what I saw in the comments, that he actually was just on the ladder and he random Protoss. So he's going to be playing as Protoss today. Normally Manson is Terran, for those of you who didn't know. So yeah, Scrap Station, normally a pretty interesting map. We generally see some sorts of airplay early on. We do see things like Banshees from time to time from Terrans, just to come in and harass this exposed mineral line. Or we used to see a lot of blink stalkers on the map, but that was also when you could actually blink your stalkers across this little this ridge here. You were able to actually blink across there, but blink stalkers are definitely not as common at all anymore, because of the structure of the map. There's generally pretty cramped up little ways to get to your base. This is probably one of the few places in the map that is actually not really that cramped. So for Terrans, this is actually a really good map, given that mid-game they can actually move into sort of a mech play with siege tanks and Thors and that sort of thing, and just control the areas with massive sort of AoE damage, that sort of thing. But it can definitely move into, depending on how the Terran plays, it can actually move into a bit more of a Protoss favoured map. Once again, just sort of transitioning back to that, the fact that there's very cramped up chokes, that sort of thing. Bio play can be sometimes a little troublesome on this map. Like, you can imagine a whole huge bio force running through here, put a few storms down, those guys are all dead. So it can be a little bit interesting to see bio, like a very heavy bio, like bio with no mech at all, is very interesting to see on this map, unless it's sort of air support, very heavy air support. But yeah, so we sort of interestingly going down that path at the moment. We do have our Terran player has actually got a couple of Marines out. There is one Stalker that is out from MansonPrime. It is probably going to die, though. I don't think it's going to get away from these three Marines. The Marines have been rallied out here from a reacted barracks. It looks as if Manson's got some decent micro here, and he's actually probably going to pick off one of these Marines just before he has to run away. Probably getting a bit risky to engage here with this Stalker quite low on HP, and there are 4 Marines there, so he's probably not going to commit to that particular battle anymore. We do have 2 tech labs going down for our Terran player. He's still just one, like, it's a really picky thing. I know this is a very picky thing, but at the start of the game you would have heard I mentioned that his rally point was actually across here for this command center on these minerals. He was actually still losing a tiny bit of mining time, just because he actually didn't have any SCVs on this particular patch. So he's finally cleaned that up a bit, which is really good. And over here on the side we actually have a hidden Twilight Council. This is a very popular thing to do, is to actually hide your Twilight Council off to the side, so that when a Terran scans, generally, there you go, right on time, we get the scan there from the Terran. So he's only seen this part of the base there, so he only knows what is actually going on here. As we can see from his view here, he can see just all this sort of thing here. So he knows there's a Robo, knows there's a Cyber, knows there's 3 gates here. he does not know about the DT Shrine over here and the Twilight Council. So it looks as if MansonPrime is going to be doing a DT opening. This looks a little bit like what you would have seen in fact, this is going to be a DT drop, perhaps? Or is it? No, he's taking a probe over to the island. The paper plane there dropping off a probe, and it's going to head over. Oh, I think I know what he's going to do. He's going to take this base and then actually use the cover of DTs in the back of the Terran base to make sure this expansion gets up securely. As you can see there, he's starting to move this guy down. He's sort of he's warped it in slightly wrong spot. The DTs aren't going to want to warp in there. They're going to fall into space, and it's a long way down to this planet, as you can see. But I think, yeah, he's going to switch across the DT shortly and just do a bit of what was back in the day in Brood War was a DT fast expand, where you would use the DTs to control the Terran until they actually were prepared to move out, when they had enough scans to look after their troops and or perhaps detectors with a science vessel. And as you can see here it comes. We do have 3 DTs warping in at the back of the base here for our Terran player. He's going to get at least several SCVs are going to go down here. He finally actually picks up the threat that they are there, and the DTs do start hacking away at the buildings as well, given that they are now going to be found, because there is a tiny bit of energy left here. We do have enough for 1 scan, but we also do have a ghost here. Not sure why. It's a bit of a decision, I suppose, whether to use the EMP or to use a scan. I think in this position you'd probably actually want to use the EMP, just purely because the EMP doesn't actually, it's not actually going to cost you the 260 minerals, I think it is, for actually that a mule would have given you from the scan energy. Either way, it has actually done pretty much what MansonPrime wanted it to do, which was to pull the Terran forces back in here. He's going to have to wait inside his base with his, especially with his ghosts, to make sure that EMP to decloak the DTs. He's going to have to wait here until he gets a turret up and actually gets his base secure from any further DT threat. Now, as we can see, MansonPrime is continuing with this DT pressure here. This is, as I said, very much like the DT expand that you would see in StarCraft 1, and it is going quite well, actually. Interesting to see this engineering bay. This guy's not cool enough to actually be inside the main base, so looks as if Manson's going to have a free shot at this engineering bay, which would be interesting if he could kill it, because means that he's going to have to means our Terran player is going to have to actually get it up again. But he looks like he's going to come down. He does have an EMP. The Ghost does EMP the DT, and it does go down. So once again, all this time, let's just have a look at the income tab. We've got our Protoss player is way ahead. He's actually on 36 minerals, obviously 36 harvesters, sorry, not minerals. That'd be a bit bad. He's bringing in some more probes to make the efficiency go up a lot higher on this island. He's chucking down the gas. He's going very heavy gas at the moment. DTs do cost a lot, but not as much gas as Templar do. However, we don't actually have a Templar archives anywhere, so not sure what he's doing at the moment. Getting another warp prism as well. I think he, sorry, I think he actually lost the other one that was there, but looks as if our Terran player has actually cleared off the rocks that were in the middle, so he's going to have the ability to actually get in there and clean up any sorts of units that come through the middle, and of course he can counter-attack if he needs to as well. So our it looks as if he's actually getting quite a very high mix of units here. We've got a whole bunch of Marauders and Marines there. They're going to be able to stop the DTs if they are out there, and of course they are also going to be able to clean up a lot of the gateway units that you would see from the Protoss. So let's just have a look. We do have 2 Stargates on the way from MansonPrime, so we could be seeing something with Void Rays or perhaps something higher up. I'm not sure just yet. Let's actually see what he does. He is going to need to be very careful of this particular attack coming in here. It does have 1 Ghost in there to remove some of the energy and shields off these units. Let's see if he actually uses that EMP there. I don't think he will, given he has superior numbers. But it looks as if he's going to walk in here. The DT does come in there. The DT is going to try and get at that Ghost. I think he has actually targeted the Ghost, but the Ghost gets support there from the scan. And he's going to walk in here. He's actually going to be able to clean up pylons. As you can see, cleaning up pylons is a very good way to actually just remove a lot of the threat from a Protoss. So it looks as if he's moved in here. He's disabled all of these gateways here. The gateway does get 1 more Ghost out. Sorry, a DT out, but the DT does just die in time. So we actually have no more energy. He's got 1 more scan left. So if there are more DTs that come out, they will actually be able to hack up once this last scan goes down. So now we're at no more scans. We have a bit of trouble here from MansonPrime. I'm not sure if he was actually prepared for this sort of attack with his massively heavy eco build that he's doing. And let's just have a look at the production tab. He does actually have a carrier on the way. So we have these 2 Stargates over here along with another Robo and a fleet beacon. So he is actually getting some carriers out. Let's see if he can actually save the day with these carriers, because it looks as if KimBeomJun is actually going to clean up what is left of the main base here. He's cleaning up this tech that is actually off to the side, and he's just going to make sure he can kill whatever he can. I don't think he knows just yet about the island expansion. No, he doesn't yet. He's probably going to assume that it is there now, though, given that MansonPrime hasn't actually left the game. So we'll see what happens. We do have 2 carriers on the way. One is just about half done, and another Warp Prism is coming out too. I suspect Manson might actually try and take back this main expansion. He is in the red though at the moment, so he has no supply available to use, so he will need to get back over there and actually rebuild everything, which I think he's going to do. There's one lonely Stalker here sitting on 7 health but 80 energy shield. Sorry, is a little bit of an interesting conundrum here for MansonPrime. He's going to have to kill this guy off, obviously, just to make sure that there's no extra scanning going on. The problem here for our Terran player is he still has not expanded yet, as of yet. Obviously, the game is very much in his favor at the moment, but he really needs to get that expansion up just to make sure that he doesn't die to anything stupid. Now, of course, as I mentioned before, anything stupid could be something like carriers. So MansonPrime's got 1 carrier out now. Carrier has arrived, and it is building up some interceptors. 2 more carriers are on the way. And these gateways are up and running as well. So he's going to have the ability... there you go. MansonPrime, being a very clever cookie, actually takes this, what is essentially an island expansion, because the destructible debris is actually covering off this expansion here down at the 9 o'clock position. So this probe is going to probably chuck down a quick piler just to make sure that he can bring in any units if needed. But he's going to get this one up and running. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. The carriers are off to the side here. They are picking off these units, the supply depot, sorry, because our Terran player finally knows what is going on here at this base, as he knows that these carriers are going to be coming through shortly. All of these Marines are here. Some of these Marines are actually quite low health because of the fact that there are actually no medevacs out on the map just yet. We may see a couple come out soon, given that he's going to have to use them to actually get across to the island, but we'll see what happens. We've got Manson just moving across now, just finishing up his interceptor production, and he does have +1 to weapons, air weapons as well, so he's going to have an interesting carrier fleet shortly once the +1 weapons is done. A turret here, no match for all of these interceptors, given the damage that they do, and a few more turrets do go up at the side here. So we sort of have to sit back and have a look at the position that our Terran player is in. He knows the carriers are out. He knows that there will certainly be a few more carriers in production, given that we already do have a ball of 3 at the moment. And let's just keep an eye on what's going on with these. He's going to try and use a bit of micro, but as I was saying, our Terran's going to need to make sure that he doesn't lose anything unnecessarily. Like these sorts of things here is he really needs to keep things intact, because he does not want to fall behind on supply or on income at all. And he should be okay for the moment in terms of income, but if he starts falling behind on supply, you know, he's actually in a lot of trouble. So +1 to weapons is just about done for MansonPrime, and his carriers are going to be doing extra damage. As you can see here, the interceptors do 5 damage, so that's 2 attacks of 5 damage with 8 range. And there are a total of, how many? I think there's 8 interceptors altogether in a carrier. Yep, that's right. And he does actually have the catapult upgrade as well. So the first volley of when the interceptors are launched is actually comes out really quick and will just destroy any units. As you can see there, just rips through those Vikings there, and they do take out another Viking as well. So Manson needs to make sure that this does not go down. This island expansion here needs to stay up, because if he doesn't have the additional resource support, he's not going to be able to rebuild any of his interceptors at all, as you can see. So these Marines are really also going to need the Viking support, so he needs to be careful with these Vikings and make sure he doesn't lose them to those catapult-launched interceptors. He's going to just hang around here and actually harass a lot. He's going to harass off this this island of our Terran player, and he's going to pick off what he can when it is available. This is actually something that is a little bit more advantageous of using carriers in SC2 compared to SC1. Is that in SC1 there was no upgrade to actually boost out the speed of the interceptors coming out of the carrier, so you can actually utilize their movement a bit more efficiently, because you can shoot them out, as we'll see here, shoot them out, turn around and run away. The interceptors will do a bit of damage, they might die as we can see here, but they'll certainly do a lot of damage when they pop out. So something a little bit different. Back in SC1 we would actually see carrier micro, where you'd sort of sit over these regions where cliffs were, so that things like Goliaths and obviously in those days you didn't really use Marines, but it was mainly Goliaths, would actually not have the space to actually shoot at the carriers. So looks as if our Terran player is just moving around trying to see if there are any extra bases. You would assume that he's thinking, how is this guy still supporting these two Stargates with their carriers and the interceptors? But he actually, interestingly, didn't actually see this expansion here. In the nick of time, MansonPrime actually moved this probe back down here, and it looks as if we do have another attack up here. We do have an EMP going down on the carriers. Doesn't remove all of their shields, but these 5 carriers are certainly doing a lot of damage there. The lack of support with the Vikings there, they were out of the battle just for a brief moment, has caused a lot of damage on the side of our Terran player. He's going to fend them off. Just as we can see here, we do not want this carrier to go down, but he does fend it off, but he obviously took a huge amount of losses there, and not to mention his command center is sort of sitting up here doing nothing. This is the part where it really hurts for our Terran player. Is he's sitting here with these, how many is it? That's like 17 Marauders, and they are actually doing nothing at all, because they cannot shoot air, of course, and they cannot get over the island to even stop the production. So he, if you're in the Terran's position, you'd probably want at least to have these Marauders moving out to secure positions on the map. You've got to know by this time that the Protoss player is not sitting on just one base. As we can see, he scans it now, so he's going to be able to move out now to actually secure this base and get rid of it, so that Manson doesn't have as much income coming in. But he's going to have to do it quickly, because these carriers are starting to get in sizable numbers. Well, when they're not dying to Vikings, they are. As you can see, the Vikings starting to clean up things. They're getting a bit of a control on the situation now. We only have 3 carriers left, and he's going to be 2 in a second. There you go. 2 carriers left over. The Vikings have died, except for this one lonely guy. He's not happy with the battle, and we've just got these 2 carriers left. As you can see down here, the Marauders are moving down to this expansion. They're going to come in here in a second and actually start cleaning up this expansion, and if they do get there in time, this could actually be game over, because there's no way, unless this expansion as well goes up, which in all honesty it might, but you have a few Marauders here attacking this one as well. We now have 4 carriers sitting here inside the Terran base, cleaning up everything. If he gets rid of the rest of this infrastructure, it could actually switch around and go the other way. And the carriers, just to point out, they do actually have +2 to their damage, so he's going to actually be doing a whole heap of damage here with these interceptors. They are now doing, I think it was, what was it? I think they're doing 7 damage per attack, and they are doing the double attack. So we also have a War Prism here from MansonPrime, just sitting off to the side, probably about to drop in some units when he can. But I think, given how slow this Terran was to actually expand, and not to mention secure this expansion over here, he is actually going to be in a lot of trouble, because he now has no more units to actually dispose of these carriers at all. Gets rid of the starports. He's going to get rid of this one in just a second too, and our Terran player is now going to be sitting on just racks, and he cannot rely on just Marines to defend against that many carriers. But I tell you what, he is actually getting a few more racks down here for some reason. Not sure why he's doing that. But MansonPrime senses blood in the water. He's going in for the kill. He's going to try and kill off this command center here at the natural expansion, which hardly got mined at all. And then he's probably going to move in and actually clean up the rest of the base. Some force fields go down over here from MansonPrime. He's going to block out these Marauders just to buy himself a little bit more time. And he does actually get in eventually. The Marauders are going to clean up these sentries. That's not going to be too hard. But the carriers have destroyed, just absolutely ripped apart everything on their path of destruction down here to this last remaining feasible expansion. And the carriers are just going to sit off the side here, taking shots at this command center. It is going to be repaired constantly, although the SCVs are now starting to die. and this is probably going to be game over. There it is, GG from our Terran player. So that was an interesting play there, using some carriers and actually just staying in despite actually losing the main, losing the natural, and actually still having the power there of the carriers with the +2 to weapons. So a great job there by MansonPrime. Obviously he probably outclassed his opponent there, just given their skill levels, but nonetheless, it was an interesting build to see from a random Protoss. So hope you guys enjoyed that game, seeing some carriers. Not often that we get to see them. I am trying to find some more, but as I said, not used very much at all. So we'll see some more games coming up soon. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you comment, subscribe, and all of that jazz. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.